The Carolina Panthers kicked off the last week of training camp, and obviously they have joint practices with the Baltimore Ravens, one of the top-notch franchises in NFL history. Well coached, well put together, year in and year out. They're successful. So this is going to be a good chance for the Carolina Panthers to really test their mettle and see how competitive they are in the grand scheme of the NFL and to build on what they did last week in Indianapolis heading into the second preseason game. But before we get into that, I'm going to go over all the stuff that happened today and just give you some highlights and points and some little clips, I guess, also, because I was at practice today. You may be wondering why I'm here in a different setting. It looks a little different. Why do I have the headset on? It's because I've taken my show on the road, and I got some clips from you guys for practice. I was there in person, so we're going to talk about all that day. Before I get into that, I'll let you know who I am. My name is Aaron Duncan here with the Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk. I start off every video by saying, what up, dude? Here on Necessary Bluntness, I give recap and analysis of the NFL. In particular, show a little extra love to the Carolina Panthers. So if you don't want to miss any videos and updates and stuff like that, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button below and the bell icon. The bell icon is going to make sure you get a notification because I go live. And when I go live, you want to make sure you're there on time. That way you get the full escape and you ain't got to watch the replays. And I take calls and live call in from guests when the phone lines are open. So if you don't want to miss the opportunity to call in and chat it up with your boy, make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell icon also. And please follow me on all social media, most particularly on Twitter at Dunk On Demand. Dunk On Demand. On Twitter, that's when I give my live updates at practice when I have time to actually chop stuff up on the spot. You're going to get the full scope of what's going on right now, obviously, after the fact. I got you on the recap. But if you want to catch what's happening in live real time, make sure you are following me on Twitter also at Dunk On Demand and hit your boy up. I will follow back all Panthers fans. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So, of course, we came off of last week's practice, and Matt Rhule had some comments about the first day, everybody kind of being a little bit passive and not really setting the tone. And Indianapolis really came out, was physical. They were in our face. So there were a lot of fights going on, and they really just brought it to us. And the second day, it really take the Panthers kind of realizing, like, okay, this is how we're going to do it. Let's go ahead and go that way. And so with the Ravens, you kind of wanted to see if this offense or the defense was going to come out and set the tone. And defensively, because I'm going to talk about the bright side. Defensively, I was very impressed with what was going on in all team drills and one-on-ones and stuff. First things first, Brian Burns is a beast, y'all. Brian Burns is a beast. I posted a clip to my Twitter page of him coming down the line of scrimmage and destroying J.K. Dobbins. Ball came out, fumble, turnover. This was over during the 2-minute drill period when the Ravens were driving down, trying to get in position to score a field goal or a touchdown. And Brian Burns put all that to rest, ending the drive. So I really like what I saw, obviously, from Brian Burns. I'm really psyched up to see what he can do this year. I think he's going to be an all-pro caliber type of year. I'm hoping for 15 sacks, some turnovers, obviously. Hopefully he helps lead this defense and make it ferocious. But in particular, the run defense as a whole was great. Just coming off the edge because our front four really did work. Even Frank Louvu, the backup, had a highlight type of play that I caught a good glimpse of where he destroyed another guy in the backfield. He didn't even wrap him up. He just threw his shoulder into him, blasted him. You could hear the crack throughout the whole practice. Everybody said ooh and ah, and it was just a real tone setter for this defense. The defense pretty much flew around and made plays throughout the whole day. I will say the secondary, they took some lumps in one-on-ones and some parts in the inside because there's a receiver for the Baltimore Ravens named Prochet who really did work in the slot the whole time. But besides that, the defense pretty much kept the clamps down. I was pretty impressed on what the defense was able to do against this Baltimore type of defense, especially when your run defense steps up. Because we know with a guy like Lamar Jackson, quality running back like J.K. Dobbins, their huge offensive line, they're one of the best running teams in the league for the past few years since Lamar's been in the league. So for us to be that stout against the run really says a lot to me. And this was even without our projected starting middle linebacker, Denzel Perryman, who was back in practice with full pads on today, but he did not participate. He worked on the side with trainers. Also on the side was Robby Anderson. According to Matt Rhule says that it was something with his hamstring, but he doesn't expect it to be anything serious. So Robby did not dress out. Also, he participated with the trainers. Nevertheless, the offensive line depth is looking pretty skimp. Obviously, the moves we made at the deadline for cuts brought us down to a certain point, but there's been some injuries on this offensive line. But today, Matt Paradis, or Paradise, whatever you want to say, was back in attack. So we actually got a chance to get a look at the full starting offensive line group. We know Matt Rhule kind of gave us a hint that Cam Irving and Pat Elfing would be the two left linemen, and Taylor Moton in an emergency situation would be the backup left tackle. So we know we are there, but at the same time, we wanted to see our young guys step up and make some progress. But this is the first look. Offensively overall, it was tough. It was tough, but I'll get into that a little bit more. Our secondary, I'm really interested to see how this safety competition is going to be between Kenny Robinson, Sam Franklin, and obviously Justin Burris. We know, of course, Jeremy Chin is going to be the other starting safety, but there's going to be some tight competition. Like I said, I'll highlight Sam Franklin. He made some plays, and so one thing I like to see is that Sam Franklin seems to be a little bit more athletic. You know, he's a little bit skinnier, but he's a little bit more athletic than Justin Burris. And with Phil Snow liking to blitz safeties like he does, you can see why Sam Franklin would be a guy that he may like. He just doesn't have the experience that Justin Burris has, because that having that experience with Burris may be a good thing, since we have a lot more youth in that secondary, with Jeremy Chin being not as experienced on the NFL level at safety, and obviously starting a rookie J.C. Horn at corner this year. So we'll see how that strong safety competition shakes out, but what's something to really much to pay attention to as we get ready for these preseason games and as we go into the regular season. But another thing that happened today defensively, of course, don't act surprised, guys. Another fight broke out, and this time it was the defense. Okay, of course, the Baltimore Ravens, we were doing, I guess it was pass skeleton or team, but regardless, the culprit this time was Keith Taylor, our rookie out of Washington. It was cover 2. Ravens ran the drag route. They threw it to him. Keith Taylor upended the receiver by hitting him low at the thigh pad and kind of flipped him a little bit. It was a pretty good hit. It would have been a good hit in the game. Probably could have been even worse. However, of course, Ravens players didn't take really kind to it, because nobody wants to see anybody get hit low. Nobody wants to see anybody go down anyway. It was funny just because J.C. Horn, he was funny. He was laughing, saying, "Hey, I'm not responsible for the fight this time, but I am happy to see that it happened." A lot of Panthers fans felt some type of way. A lot of Baltimore fans felt some type of way. I'm the one on Twitter that posted the full video from start to finish, from the play to the fight that happened, and it kind of went crazy. You know, Baltimore fans saw it, were talking trash. Panthers fans saw it and felt some type of way. There were news networks contacting me, asking me if they had permission to post it, and I said, "Hey, if you want to pay me some compensation, feel free to do it. I'm not giving away any kind of free content like that." So you guys, if you see the video, I'll let you play it right now. But if you see it anywhere else on TV or on the news, let me know, because these people owe me money. I didn't give them permission to do it. So let me know if you see it. Now let's talk about the offense. We know this offense is going to be a work in progress, but going into the last week of training camp, it feels weird saying that, because we still seem out of reach. Sometimes there was a lot of overthrows by Sam Darnold. There was a lot of drop passes by receivers. Of course, you're going to get the highlights every day of what's going on, but that's just because we have so much talent at receivers. So in one-on-ones, you're going to see things happen. But for the most part, the offense was terrible. Terrible. I mean, at times in certain spots, they did good with running the ball, and they held their own running the ball up front, so that's decent. But at the same time, the wide receivers and the quarterbacks just weren't on the same page. You know, when the times that the receivers were open, quarterbacks didn't have time because the offensive line allowed guys to leak through. And when they did have time, they weren't connecting with each other. So we knew that this team potentially had the looks of having a defense that was going to carry the team until hopefully the offense came around, because we have the weapons, we have the skill guys. We just have offensive line troubles, of course, on the left side. In particular, we have a quarterback that we're going to try to turn the page on. But at the same time, we expected this group to be a little bit further along than they are right now, and I was a little bit disappointed. Yes, you have to give the Ravens credit. They are a quality defense. These guys are one of the best defenses in the league. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's a time for iron sharpening iron, but you wanted to see the type of guys we had do something, like even DJ. But I know Robby Anderson was out, but is the residual effect of Robby Anderson being out that big to the point that the whole offense just struggles? I don't think it should be, because we had the depth with Terrace Marshall, Shi Smith, and DJ Moore, of course, and not to mention the other weapons like Dan Arnold, and Christian McCaffrey is another type of wide receiver. So I don't understand. I want to see more. I want to see more from this offense. I would expect more. And so for us, and especially not coming off a game where we did not play the starters in preseason action, is really a head scratcher. And I understand what Rhule was saying. He didn't want to put Sam Darnold out there with backups, but you need reps. I mean, it comes down to needing reps and live action and game reps to get on the same page. And it seems like, judging by all these press conferences by all the players, they're itching to get in there and get some context. So I'd be surprised if starters do not play to some extent this Saturday against the Ravens. We'll see. But Matt Rhule will say he will not give that information out until Thursday. So fingers crossed, guys, we get to see our starters up against the Baltimore starters for a little bit. Give us a chance to get a really good look at a really good team against a really good team. Some administrative stuff, though. Scott Fitterer also had a press conference today, and he just talked about some different things. There's been a lot of controversy, of course, about the Greg Little trade to Miami for that 7th-round pick. And We just wanted to know what's going on with that left tackle position. Obviously, you have guys Cam Irvin, Trent Scott. Taylor Moton's been cited as the backup left tackle, and that's really an indictment on Trent Scott, in my opinion. But a lot of people are wondering, is it worth putting Taylor Moton at left tackle, Brady Christensen at right tackle, and just going with two guys that aren't proven at those positions there? Who knows? A lot of people want to say leave the sure thing at Taylor Moton on the right tackle and just do what you can with the rest. I don't know. But Scott Fitter seems to be very confident in Cam Irving, but he also said this in this clip about making a move to possibly bring in an upgrade for the left tackle position. Take a look at this.
And it's almost like the same positions. Guys are looking for tackles. Guys are looking for pass rushers or corners. So they're really hard to find. No one's going to cut any, so you probably have to trade for some. But it's a position that we'd like to upgrade.
And to me, that's very interesting, especially this time of year. There were some vets out there that they could have signed, whether it was Trent Williams or maybe Jason Peters a long time ago, but they never made a move on that. There is Russell Okung who's still out there. A lot of fans are sour on Russell because he didn't play much last year, but at the same time, would he be a bona fide upgrade to what we have on the roster right now? Like, what more do you have to lose? You know what I'm saying? If it's that bad. So that's an option. And, of course, Dwayne Brown in Seattle, they're trying to work out some contract scenarios there. Do we have the cap to be able to make that type of move? Will Scott Fitter kick the tires on that because he knows from experience how Dwayne Brown is coming from that system out of there in Seattle? Who knows? But at the same time, it's interesting to see that he mentioned that, there's not good left tackles, corners, or pass rushers just walking around on the street. And most of those guys don't just get cut. You have to kind of make a trade for them. So will we be willing to trade some assets? We're pretty deep at the safety position. We have some pretty decent pass rushers, like I said. So we'll see what happens there. But the one other thing that Scott Fitter said that was very interesting to me also, when he was questioned about the potential for contract extensions. Because we know guys are going into their contract year or they're going into their fifth-year option. Obviously, DJ Moore signed that fifth-year option, but Dante Jackson was not able to get a fifth-year option because he wasn't a first-round pick. He's going into the last year of his contract. Are they talking about that? Let's listen to what Scott Fitter had to say about the potential.
We're working on one pretty significantly right now, and then another one's kind of on the come.
And the beautiful thing about Scott Fitter, he's, like I told you guys before, he's been an assistant GM all these years. He's not used to being in the limelight and having a microphone in his face on a consistent basis. So he's not going to give you the BS and the fluff that Matt Rhule will. Scott Fitter is going to pretty much tell it like it is because he has no poker face. I don't think he's just a straight shooter. That's how he is. No, I just think he doesn't have experience playing these mental gymnastics with the media and giving us BS. So he can't help but tell the truth. So if you listen to what Scott Fitter wants to says, he's going to tell you exactly what's going on behind closed doors. Matt Rhule is going to try to keep, all the cards close to himself, but Scott Fitter is going to tell it like it is. And he says that some kind of deal is imminent, and then obviously you hear all this talk about how DJ is their type of guy and this, that, and the third. So maybe it's DJ. Maybe with Dante being on the last year, you hear Matt Rhule talking up Dante a lot too. So maybe it's Dante there. Who knows? And obviously Robby is an option. But if you're so deep with Terrace and Shy Smith, do you want to even pay Robby right now? Why not wait till the season is over and play it by ear then? Who knows? So a lot of stuff to happen that can happen before the season starts because I think one of those deals that happened before. But Scott Fitter also said that he's not closed off to negotiating during the season if the timing is right. This is a big I guess it's a 180, not a 360, compared to guys that we had in the past like Dave Gettleman. Dave Gettleman never was the type to discuss stuff during the season. Hell, even Marty Herney did not discuss contract talks with Taylor Moton during the season last year. So this is a big turnaround for a guy like Scott Fitter who's doing stuff a little bit different than some things that we've had in the past. So it's a little bit refreshing to see. And I kind of like Scott Fitter. Like I said, he doesn't BS us. You can really appreciate that. But you guys let me know down below in the comments how you feel about all the stuff I talked about today. How are you feeling about the practice with our defense pretty much stepping up? Do you think we're going to be the type of team that the defense is just going to have to carry this offense even with as much talent we have? Do you think that it'll be the tackle position that'll hold us back or Sam Darnold that'll hold us back? Let me know. And let me know, who do you think Scott Fitter was talking about possibly getting an extension sometime soon? Who's going to get that bag? You guys let me know down below in the comments. But without further ado, I'm Aaron Nucker here with the Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk on the road. You guys make sure you check the playlist for the rest of the training camp videos I've been doing because I've been giving all these recaps and updates, so you don't want to miss anything. And if you have been missing something, make sure you guys catch up on that playlist of training camp and stay up to date on everything that's going on. But without further ado, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.